We're now going to go to 12.0, which is new business, and Dr. Powers, Ms. Garris, Mr. Oswald, Ms. Green, and I all attended the virtual school law conference on August 21st, 22nd. And I was going to ask Ms. Green, she is our government relations representative, if she would just kind of guide us on a little update on what we learned. And Ms. Green?
Sure. Usually, this conference was a lot different this year than it usually is. It was focused a lot more on federal law than local stuff, and almost all of it was COVID related.
Mm-hmm.
We had an update on a number of Supreme Court cases that are kind of getting close to their place in the pipeline, that are all have the potential to affect schools and school policy and education rights and things like that. And then we talked, a lot of it was COVID related about sports and extracurriculars during the pandemic, and student employment issues during the pandemic. I did want to, and also IDEA and just all the issues associated with those services during the virtual and the shutdown and things like that. We also, I think several of us probably attended the webinars recently. There have been two that the School Board Association has done. One was an entire hour about FAPE, free and appropriate public education. You can actually talk for a full hour about FAPE. Actually, you probably could talk for several days about FAPE. And that was very interesting. And then, as Ms. Garris said, there was a webinar last week about basically the capital funds toolbox that is available to school districts. And that one was really in the weeds, but it was super interesting because I'm convinced that you can never learn everything there is to know about school finance and how to pay for projects. One of the things I did want to mention as part of this is usually at the school law conference, a big portion of time is spent talking about what the South Carolina General Assembly is going to be tackling. Right now, in fact, the House was supposed to take up the budget today, and I was just texting with Kathy Maness, and they did not. The Senate did have the second reading of budget, and they passed it. And the House may or may not take it up tomorrow. And as you know, the governor has asked them not to, and the speaker tends to do what the governor asks, but we're crossing our fingers because it's very important. I mean, in my opinion, the General Assembly, the most important thing they do is pass a budget each year, and to just continue under the continuing resolution creates a lot of problems for us. Not only does it keep the step increase off the table, but it also, one of the things that the Senate did, which was very responsible, is in their budget they put $500 million in a set aside because if things get worse with COVID after Election Day, the General Assembly is not permitted to come back and do any business after Election Day because new people will have been elected. And so there will be this dead zone for a couple of months. And if for some reason there's a huge spike in the state or there's some unexpected need, the Senate has responsibly set money aside to address that in the event that there's basically a leadership vacuum for a couple of months. So that's kind of all out there. The House is going to meet tomorrow. If you have contact information for our House members, send them a text in the morning and say, hey, you really need to take up the budget. We would really like that step increase to happen. I was going to ask, because the step increase is 50-50 right now, if there was a possibility of some sort of, our teachers have really actually all of our staff, our school staff, the school bus drivers, the food service, our administrators. I can't imagine, I'm exhausted and I'm not living at 24/7 like y'all are. And I just think it would be, especially if we can't get a step increase this year, if we could do some sort of a bonus for our staff members, a one-time thing. The dilemma with a step increase is that if it's not funded by the state, we tie ourselves to that cost ongoing. But it sure would be, I think, a morale builder for our staff, and well-deserved for as Dr. Smith said, the yeoman's work that they have done for the last few months. So I don't know, Mr. Salters, I'm punting this big idea to you, but I think especially with a step increase being anything but certain at this point in time, if we could get some information about possibly doing something to, kind of thank our staff and, be there for them at least a little bit financially.
Sure, we'll be happy to evaluate that and get back to you.
Surprise.
Ms. Green, kind of, what were you thinking about? What kind of dollars?
I mean, I don't really know what, a one-time thing, $1,000 of that, that's a nice number that's significant, and it would mean something.
And if it got
and I think
taxed,
it would make
you
a big
still have some
difference.
left over.
And it really is, I mean, they just, we always talk about pay, and, we would, if we could, and if we had unlimited, funds, we would, certainly raise the pay of everybody all the time, because our staff, they deserve it. Their value to our mission is just unmeasurable. And so if we could do something that, affirms them and thanks them for the work that they have done for the last few months, and,
Well, even the parents that spoke tonight talked about our teachers and our staff are essential workers during this COVID-19.
I mean, it's just, I listening to all the testimony during the citizens' participation, every single, I mean, I don't sleep well at night because I'm thinking about, should we do this or should we do that? And I'm not, I keep picturing the old video game like Super Mario Brothers, where it's like the little guy's just running, and he's having to leap and having to jump, and the game never ends. You just keep, and I just feel like that's the way it's been for the last 6 months. And I know Dr. Little and his staff feel that way. And so just anything that we could do just to say, we can't give you a break, but we can at least give you some appreciation. So.
Well, 3 years ago, we started an intentional journey with our budgeting process to raise teacher salaries. And we can't go out of step to the legislature. And I mean, I guess I understand why the legislature's doing what they're doing, but since they have decided to not pass a budget giving us a step increase, I think it'd be irresponsible for us to do a step increase without being locked tight, because that is an annual funding. That being said, I do think if we have enough room in our budget, a one-time bonus that would equal this year's step increase, at least that, or close to it, would make sense, and I'd be in support of that.
I think that's a great idea, too. That's why I voted down the budget, is because there wasn't a step increase. And even Kyle, way back then, mentioned a bonus. So I'm glad to see the closer we get to November 3rd, we have some other board members hopping on board.
I can't support a step increase because I can't do a tax increase to our constituents.
Do you know how much money we have left over every year that goes out of our general fund into our capital fund?
Yeah, but it wouldn't, I just can't do it with so many people out of work and furloughed, and just would be a hard year. Well, Jeff, if you'll just kind of see what's left over in the budget and how you can work that out and report back to us, we would definitely love to follow up on Ms. Green's idea.
We'll be glad to do that.
Okay. At this time, thank you, Ms. Green. Did anybody want to add anything about that conference other than what Ms. Green talked about?
They had a very good session on Title IX. Like, I learned a lot
We
about.
did learn a lot.
I mean, that was like drinking, it was good.
Yeah. Okay, and I wanted to share that Anne Marie and I attended the Lexington County Council Midland Strong, which is, we've got these, what are these things called? Yeah, cling. And if anybody wants some, I've got some extra ones. But we attended with pretty much from all over the Midlands, all the mayors, all the police chiefs, all the sheriffs, all the legislators, school board members, county council, city council, and first responders. We had a lot of first responders. Lexington Medical Center had a huge presence. And it was just basically a thank you for what everyone's done in the Midlands to rally around COVID-19 and what we've done for our community. It was a really nice event. It was just a little get-together one morning. And it was hot as Hades. And we were all, it was almost 100, and we're all dressed up with our mask on standing in the sun. So It was not a long meeting, I will tell you that.